What is up, true movie buffs? Ride the Movie Guy here. Thank you for stopping by. If this is your first time here, welcome to my channel, and you may want to consider subscribing if you love talking about movies and more. Well, guys, I just got back from seeing Captain Marvel tonight, and I must say, a part of me surprised, but a part of me was kind of expecting what I was going to see tonight. Before I start my review on this, I just want to let you guys know that I am going to be doing a ranking of all 21 MCU movies, including Captain Marvel. So if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and tell me if you have the same taste than I do and how we rank them. Now, this will be a spoiler-free review for you guys who haven't seen it yet. Just a quick overview of what the movie's about. The story is about Carol Danvers, taking place in the 1990s, and we first meet her on the planet Hala, which is the Kree's capital, and she is a Star Force member there. Also on Earth, she's known as, of course, Carol Danvers, which is an Air Force pilot, which she has no memory of. Eventually goes back to Earth, and she tries to find out who she is, where she came from, and try to unlock this mystery. From there on, it's pretty much an intergalactic war between two alien worlds towards the end of the movie. A lot more happens, of course, but I'm not going to reveal that. First one I want to talk about is the acting itself. All the actors were good. There was one, and I know when I say it, some people are going to be like, I'm not surprised to hear this, or you're probably going to disagree with me, but it was Brie Larson. I'm not saying she was bad. I'm just saying some parts of the movie I was expecting a little bit more. She showed emotion, but sometimes not enough. I'm hoping, I want her to still be Captain Marvel. I can't think of anyone else that's Captain Marvel now except her. So I know she can do well. She did all right. I'm not saying she did bad, but I just wish she wasn't my most memorable person in the whole movie. For me, it was Samuel L. Jackson. He was fantastic as Nick Fury. I know we've seen him many times before, but in this version, he was spot on as him. And this is his first time experiencing this whole world, experiencing a superhero for the first time, so the way he reacts is honestly hilarious. Coulson, Clark Gregg, he didn't show up in the movie as much, which I was hoping he would. A little disappointing, but he had a few small scenes. Annette Bening, Jude Law, all of them did a good job. All of their parts were kind of small, but for the most part, everyone did well. Another thing that I loved was the nostalgia of the 90s. Some people were saying that it's a lot in your face, a lot of it's forced on you. I kind of disagree. You get a few scenes where they show some 90s tunes in the background, and there's certain scenes, fight sequences, that it's kind of obvious why they're playing these songs, but I didn't think it was a big deal. You get a lot of nostalgia when it comes to like the computers. You see a Blockbuster Video, you see a Radio Shack, all these different things. It was, you know, it brings back those memories, especially if you grew up in that time. And this also was a reminiscent of Guardians of the Galaxy when they did a lot of music of the 70s and 80s. That's the same thing they did with this movie, incorporating a lot of the 90s music as well. So I thought it was pretty cool they were doing that, and it felt like a 90s movie when you were on Earth, especially with the cars they were driving, the clothes people were wearing. As for the storyline of the movie, I believe that this movie set out what it was made to do. Origin story about Carol Danvers, where she was, where she came from, and where she was going. It did exactly that. The only thing I had, not an issue with, but I felt like they could have worked on a little bit better was the flashback sequences. At the beginning, it was kind of confusing at first where it was going, but you notice what were considered flashback and what were considered the present time at that moment. But if you compare it to like Iron Man 1, for example, there's a few flashbacks at the beginning, and that seemed a bit more straightforward. And if it was kind of like that, it would have been a bit, it makes sense a bit more. The last two things I loved about it was the visual effects and the action sequences, like the CGI on Samuel Jackson and Clark Gregg. I was convinced that's how they looked, and they did a good job at that. And all the action sequences, especially when Captain Marvel's up in space fighting, I thought that was really decent special effects. Now, when it comes to things I didn't like, I know I mentioned Brie Larson. I'm not saying that was considered a bad thing. It was just kind of indifferent to me. Things I didn't like about it was there are some times in the movie where I feel like it switches genres. First, it's a buddy cop movie between her and Nick Fury. Then it's kind of like a flashback, fish out of water type of movie, sci-fi movie, and that's something that I noticed. Another thing was towards the end of the movie, we get a lot of questions answered about certain things, which I will not mention because I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but I felt like it was too much of a simple explanation, or too much of a ridiculous explanation, I should say. If you know what I'm talking about, you can maybe comment to me, but be careful what you say so you don't ruin it for anyone. But pretty much what I'm saying, there's certain things in the movie that were answered that go along with the rest of the MCU that I just felt were too easily explained, that could have had more of an extensive explanation to it. One thing that I like to talk about in my reviews is how the movie I'm reviewing reflects life itself and how we can benefit from it. And for this movie, it's not just aimed at women, not in my opinion. It could be a feminist movie if you want. It could be a superhero movie if you want. It doesn't matter. The main point of this movie, in the end, what I saw was finding that inner part of you that tells you not to give up, because there are parts in that movie where she's told that without these aliens she would be nothing, she would be just human, but there's an inner part of her that tell her to tell her otherwise. And I'm telling you guys, that holds true to all of us. No matter what happens in life, you can't tell anyone that you can't do it because she did it. She's a woman, yes, okay, but a man could go through that too. A gay man could do that, a gay woman, a black man. It doesn't matter. Everyone has that ability to tell yourself inside that you can do whatever is possible and have no one to tell you otherwise. But in the end, I consider this a decent movie. It was a decent Marvel film, an average origin story, but it set out what it meant to do, and that was to tell the origin story of Carol Danvers. And with that, I give this a B. And a little side note, I just want to talk about all the controversies been going on with this. I was kind of distraught when I first got into the theater and the movie started. The Marvel logo shows up and it did a quick little tribute to Stan Lee. And it got me thinking, what a shame that this man had passed away just a few months ago. To know that this is the first film that came out after he passed away and then this is all happening. I know Brie Larson, she probably said things that were taken out of context. She shouldn't have said them that way, but people reacted a certain way. That's what happens. I just say it's kind of sad it happened at this point in time, and I don't think Stan Lee would be too thrilled if he found out this was happening. What I tell you guys, if you haven't seen it yet, you go see it. Don't base it off of this whole issue. Try it, go see it for yourself. Don't base it on anything. And you think, what do you think of the movie yourself? Don't let anyone tell you different. Guys, I hope you enjoyed my review on this movie. Go ahead and see it if you want to, and just check it out for yourself and make your own opinions about this movie. No matter what, Carol Danvers, or I should say Brie Larson, she's staying put in the MCU whether we like it or not. So if you want to keep seeing these movies, better get used to it, because Endgame, she is gonna be in that. But in the meantime, guys, if you like this video, go ahead and click on that like button. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to join me on more in the future, and I will see you all at the movies.